The sun was setting behind the dusty buildings of Outpost Thalon 6, a half-forgotten colony on the edge of known space. Kalen, a quiet human mechanic, walked through the back alley behind the trade market. He wasn't looking for trouble, just a shortcut to his flat after a long day fixing damaged drones. But then, he saw her. At first, he thought it was a pile of trash, rags, dirt, a few broken crates. But when one of the rags shifted slightly and a faint groan escaped, he stopped. Carefully, he knelt down and moved a rusted panel aside. It wasn't trash. It was a girl. She looked alien, young but frail. Her skin, barely visible under layers of mud and grime, had a faint blue tint. Her hair was tangled and dry, and she hugged her knees like she was trying to disappear. Kalen glanced around. No one cared. Traders walked past without looking. A local vendor even hissed, "Don't touch her, they say she's cursed." "Cursed?" Kalen asked, confused. "She's been lying there for days," the vendor said. "Filthy thing. Nobody knows what species she is. Everyone who tried to help her got sick, let her rot." Kalen didn't believe in curses. He stepped forward. "Hey," he said softly, kneeling in front of her. "Can you hear me?" No response. Her eyes were closed and her breathing was shallow. But she was alive. He took off his coat and wrapped it gently around her. She didn't move. Just let him. The smell hit him. A strong stench of dirt, sweat, and old wounds, but he didn't flinch. Lifting her carefully, he cradled her in both arms. She was lighter than he expected, like she hadn't eaten in days. People stared. A few laughed. One even spat on the ground. "She's too dirty to touch, human," someone sneered. But Kalen didn't stop. He just kept walking. Back in his small home unit, Kalen laid her down gently on a mat. His place wasn't big, just a workshop connected to a sleeping pod, a small kitchen, and a cleaning room. But it was clean, safe. He checked her arms. Thin, bruised, covered in layers of grime. Her hands looked like she had crawled through metal for miles. Nails broken, skin cracked. "I'm not sure who you are," he said softly. "But you're not dying in a back alley." He started the water in the cleaning room. Warm, not hot. Then, slowly, he returned and carried her in. She still didn't speak or move much, but her eyes opened briefly, dull golden orbs with no energy left in them. "Easy," he said, brushing hair away from her face. "Just water. I'll help you." He didn't know her species, but he knew how to treat someone with care. He placed her in the water gently. At first, the dirt floated off in thick swirls. He used a soft cloth wiping her arms and back. He saw more than just dirt now. Scars, burn marks, and even small punctures. "What happened to you?" he whispered. She flinched once, but didn't fight him. She just closed her eyes and let him clean her. Water turned dark quickly, but her skin underneath was smooth and pale blue. Not cursed, just abandoned. He took his time, careful not to touch her too roughly. He washed her hair, untangled the knots, and used his own soap to clean her skin. Slowly, she started to look like a person again. When he finished, he wrapped her in a fresh towel and carried her to the bed. He gave her a nutrient bar, which she sniffed but didn't eat. Still too weak. "You need a name," he said, sitting beside her. "Can't keep calling you her." He looked into her tired eyes and said, "How about Aria?" Her eyelids fluttered. He thought he saw the smallest nod. "All right then, Aria, you rest now." He pulled a blanket over her and sat on the floor next to the bed. He didn't want her to wake up alone. Outside, the colony lights dimmed and the night turned cold. Hours passed. Kalen was drifting off when he heard a soft, almost broken whisper. Kalen. His eyes opened wide. She had spoken. He turned to her, but she was already asleep again, her breathing steady and peaceful for the first time. He smiled, leaned back against the wall, and whispered, "You're safe now, Arya. I've got you." The next morning, soft light filled Kaylin's small room. Arya lay quietly, still wrapped in the clean towel. Her breath was even, but her eyes were closed tight. Kaylin watched her carefully. She looked so fragile, like she could break at any moment. He did not want to scare her. He wanted her to trust him. Slowly, he prepared breakfast, warm nutrient soup and soft fruit slices. He put the tray near her and spoke softly. "Arya, if you want, you can try to eat a little." She opened one eye and sniffed the air, but did not move. Kaylin understood. Her body was weak and her mind was afraid. He sat next to her and gently held her hand. It was cold and trembling. "It's okay," he said. "You're safe now. No one will hurt you here." Arya's fingers tightened, around his just a little. It was a small sign, but to Kaylin it meant a lot. After breakfast, Kaylin got ready for another bath for Arya. The dirt on her skin was heavy and painful, but cleaning it was more than just washing. It was the first step to healing. He drew warm water again, more carefully this time. He wanted Arya to feel comfortable. When he returned to the room, he saw her sitting up a little. Her hair was still messy, but her eyes held a flicker of curiosity. "Do you want to try?" Kaylin asked. Arya looked away but nodded very slowly. Kaylin smiled. "Good. I'll help you." Together they moved to the cleaning room. Kaylin helped her sit in the water. The warm water touched her skin softly. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Kaylin gently washed her arms, careful not to hurt her. He saw the scars more clearly now, lines and marks from old wounds. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "No one should treat you like this." Arya opened her eyes and looked at him for the first time without fear. She seemed to want to say something but stayed silent. He continued washing her hair, combing the knots out with gentle hands. He talked softly about small things, about the stars, about Earth, about his life. Little by little, Arya's tense muscles began to relax. Her body stopped shaking. When the bath was over, Kaylin wrapped her in a warm towel. He helped her dry off and put on a clean set of clothes he had bought from the market. Arya looked at herself in the mirror for the first time in months. She touched her face and arms. There was still dirt in some places, but her skin looked softer, more alive. Kaylin sat behind her and said, "You are not just dirty. You are strong and you are beautiful." Arya's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Kaylin and whispered, "Thank you." Kaylin smiled and took her hand again. For the next few days, Kaylin stayed by her side. He helped her learn simple things, how to eat properly, how to use the small tools in his workshop, even how to smile again. Arya's voice returned slowly. At first it was only small sounds, but soon she spoke in short sentences. She told Kaylin that her people called her Shala, but no one used her real name. She was a servant once, forced to work hard without kindness. Kaylin listened quietly. He did not judge or ask too many questions. He only wanted her to heal. One afternoon they sat on the rooftop, looking at the stars. Arya pointed to a bright, blue light far away. "Home," she said softly. "Maybe," Kaylin replied. "But you have a new home here with me." Arya smiled for the first time, a real smile that reached her eyes. That night, Kaylin prepared his bed for her. He pushed his sleeping mat to the floor and gave her the bed. "Sleep well, Arya," he said. She nodded and closed her eyes. Before falling asleep, she whispered, "Kaylin, friend." Kaylin smiled and whispered back, "Always, Arya." Days passed slowly, but with each one, Arya grew stronger. Kaylin watched her carefully as she learned small things he took for granted. How to open a door smoothly. How to prepare simple meals. How to speak words that once seemed impossible. 1. Evening. After the sun dipped below the horizon and the stars began to shine, Arya sat on the small couch in Kaylin's home. She held a cup of warm tea, but her eyes looked far away, lost in memory. Kaylin sat beside her quietly. He didn't want to rush her, but he wanted to understand her better. "Arya," he said softly. "You don't have to talk if you're not ready, but I'm here." She looked at him, then nodded slowly. "My people," she began, voice low and broken. "They used me like I was nothing, a servant, a tool." Kaylin's heart tightened. "I'm sorry," she continued. "I was sold to a merchant. He made me work from dawn to night. No rest, no kindness. If I made a mistake, he hurt me." Arya's hands trembled. She looked down, tears falling silently. Kaylin reached out and held her hand. "You are safe now. I won't let anyone hurt you." She looked at him, eyes full of pain but also hope. "I ran away," she said. "I had no place to go. My own people called me contaminated. They hunted me like an animal." Kaylin was shocked. Why would they do that? "Because I escaped. Because I was dirty. Because I was weak," she whispered. Kaylin shook his head in disbelief. "That's not true. You are not weak. You are one of the strongest people I know." Arya's lips twitched in a small smile. For a moment they sat in silence, the only sound the hum of the colony outside. "Tell me," Kaylin said after a while. "What do you want now?" Arya looked up, her golden eyes shining softly. "I want to live. To be free. To be more than just dirty." Kaylin smiled warmly. "Then you will. And I will help you." The days that followed were filled with new experiences. Kaylin taught Arya how to repair small machines. She was quick to learn and careful with her hands. She helped him fix an old drone, tightening screws and connecting wires. Kaylin watched her with pride. "You have talent." Arya laughed quietly, a sound like music after silence. One afternoon, while they walked through the crowded market, Kaylin was bumped by a worker carrying heavy crates. The worker stumbled and hurt his arm badly. Kaylin gasped in pain but tried to stay calm. Arya rushed to his side without hesitation. She gently supported him and used a clean cloth to stop the bleeding. "Hold still," she said, voice steady. Kaylin looked at her in surprise. "You saved me," he said, eyes wide. Arya smiled shyly. "You helped me first. It is my turn." That moment changed everything. Kaylin realized that Arya was not just healing. She was becoming family. Someone he could count on. Someone who cared. At night, they talked about hopes and dreams. Arya said she wanted to learn about the stars, about humans, about kindness. Kaylin promised to teach her everything. As he watched Arya fall asleep beside him, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. The next morning began like any other, with Kaylin and Arya sharing breakfast in the small kitchen. Outside, the colony buzzed with activity, traders, workers, and visitors all moving through the dusty streets. But a shadow loomed over their quiet world. A loud knock sounded on Kaylin's door. It was sharp, demanding, impossible to ignore. Kaylin opened it slowly. Standing there were two men wearing official badges, the colony's law enforcers. Their faces were hard and serious. "We have orders," one said. "That alien you harbor is property. She must be returned immediately." Kaylin's heart sank. He had heard rumors of such claims before. Some aliens were considered property owned by merchants or families. But Arya was no one's property anymore. She was free. "I'm sorry," Kaylin said firmly. "Arya is free. She is under my protection." The officers exchanged glances, then the leader spoke. "You do not understand. The law is clear. She is contaminated and she belongs to the merchant clan." Kaylin stepped forward. "She escaped. She is a victim, not property. You can't take her against her will." The officers frowned. "You are risking punishment for harboring a fugitive." Just then, Arya appeared behind Kaylin. Her blue skin looked strong and clean. Her eyes held a new fire. "I am not property," she said quietly but clearly. "I am Arya. I choose where I belong." The officers looked surprised. one whispered to the other. A small crowd had gathered, curious about the confrontation. Kaylin took Arya's hand and spoke louder. She has a name, a story, and a right to live free. We stand together. Some people in the crowd nodded, others murmured approval. The officers looked around, realizing they had less support than expected. Come with us, the leader ordered. No, Kaylin said firmly. She will not go. Arya stepped forward, standing tall beside Kaylin. I will not be taken, she said. The crowd began to cheer softly, showing their support. For a moment, the officers hesitated. Then, with a warning glare, they backed down. This is not over, the leader said. We will return with more authority. Kaylin watched them leave, then turned to Arya. You were brave, he said softly. Arya smiled. Because you stood with me. That night, after the tension faded, Arya looked at Kaylin. I want to share your bed, she said quietly. Not because I am afraid, but because I trust you. Kaylin nodded, feeling honored. They prepared the bed together. Arya lay down, and Kaylin sat beside her, watching over her like a guardian. For the first time in a long time, Arya felt safe. The colony outside still held dangers, but inside this small room, two souls found hope and strength. The days after the confrontation were tense but hopeful. Kaylin knew the law enforcers might return, but he also knew they were not alone. Some neighbors had seen Arya's strength and kindness. Others had begun to question the old rules. Kaylin worked quietly to find help. He contacted a small group of humans and aliens who believed in freedom and justice. They agreed to support Arya's case. Together, they prepared documents proving Arya's right to live free. They sent messages to higher authorities asking for protection under interspecies law. Arya helped too. She practiced speaking clearly and showed her strength in tests. She learned about the laws that could protect her. Slowly, she became confident that her new life was real. One morning, an official from the colony's council arrived. He was calm but serious. Arya, he said, we have reviewed your case. You have the right to live freely here. You are no longer property. Arya smiled, tears in her eyes. Thank you, she said. Kaylin squeezed her hand. From that day, things changed. The people who once ignored Arya began to smile and greet her. Some apologized quietly for their harsh words. Others asked her about her life and dreams. Arya was no longer too dirty to touch. She was a part of the community. She planted a small garden outside Kaylin's home. She grew flowers and herbs, watching them bloom like her new life. She studied languages, learning more about humans and other species. She taught kindness to others who felt lost. Kaylin and Arya built a peaceful life together. Every morning they shared breakfast and stories. Every night they watched the stars and dreamed of the future. One evening, as they sat side by side, Arya looked at Kaylin. Thank you, she whispered, for giving me everything I thought I could never have. Kaylin smiled warmly. You earned it, Arya. You are strong, brave, and worthy. They held hands, feeling the quiet peace of home. Outside, the colony glowed softly under the stars. Inside, two souls had found love, hope, and a place where they belonged.